What if the man sweeping the floors had the wisdom to lead an empire? This is the unforgettable true-style story of a 75-year-old janitor who, after losing everything, discovered the ultimate secret to success, and used it to change his life completely. From cleaning offices to sitting at the head of the boardroom, his journey is not just about rags to riches. It's about rediscovery, purpose, and the power of believing in yourself when no one else does. In this emotionally charged and motivational narrative, we take you through the trials, heartbreak, and incredible transformation of a man society overlooked. Whether you're chasing your dream, starting over, or just need a reminder that it's never too late to rise, this story will stay with you. Stay until the end, because the final truth will change how you define success. Like, share, and subscribe for more real and powerful stories. Clarence Jenkins had never been the kind of man people noticed. For most of his adult life, he pushed a mop down silent hallways and cleaned up after people who didn't even know his name. He wore the same dark green uniform every day, with a faded patch that read maintenance, and a quiet humility that matched the way he walked, with his eyes lowered and steps slow but steady. At 73 years old, Clarence still worked the night shift at a downtown corporate office tower in Chicago. He'd been doing it for over 4 decades. Same job. Same routine. Same paycheck that barely covered rent in the small one-bedroom apartment he'd lived in since the 80s. His back ached more than it used to. His hands were rough, fingers bent with arthritis. But he still showed up, every night at 8 p.m., clocked in, and worked until the sun started to rise. People didn't ask much about Clarence, and he didn't offer much about himself. He wasn't bitter about it. He just understood his role in the world. He'd grown up poor in Mississippi, one of 6 kids raised by a single mother. He never graduated high school. Started working at 14. And by 20 he'd already figured out that life didn't hand you success. You had to earn it. And for someone like him, earning it meant surviving. Showing up. Enduring. The irony was, Clarence didn't hate his job. There was something meditative about it. When he swept the same marble floors or wiped down the same chrome elevator buttons every night, it was like a kind of prayer. He thought a lot during those hours, about life, about people, about the way the world worked. And over time he started noticing things that others missed. Clarence knew which executives stayed late and which ones were faking it. He listened to the way employees spoke to receptionists, to delivery men, to each other. He remembered faces, watched body language, observed patterns in the way people moved, succeeded, or failed. His years in silence had taught him something most people never learned. People reveal who they really are in the little moments when they think no one is watching. One night, something unusual happened. It was late, almost midnight, and most of the building had emptied out. But on the 27th floor, the lights were still on in one of the glass-walled conference rooms. Clarence was cleaning the hallway when he overheard raised voices. 2 men mid-conversation, deep in a heated debate about the company's future. Clarence paused just out of view. "I'm telling you, we're bleeding money," one voice said. "This product line is killing us and the board knows it. We either pivot or die." The other man, more dismissive, replied, "You're panicking. The numbers aren't that bad. And what do you suggest? Reinvent the company overnight?" Clarence moved on, pretending he hadn't heard a thing. But inside something stirred. He'd heard rumors for months, whispers from assistants and office gossip. Things weren't going well for Janitor, the company headquartered in that very building. Once a rising star in the tech consulting world, Janitor had lost its edge. Clarence didn't know every detail, but he knew something was off. The energy had shifted. The smiles had become forced. The late nights more desperate than driven. That week, Clarence went home and did something he hadn't done in years. He pulled out an old notebook from under his bed. It was the one he used to write in during his younger years, back when he believed his thoughts mattered. Back when he dreamed of becoming something more. He dusted it off, sat at his tiny kitchen table and began writing. But Clarence didn't write about dreams anymore. He wrote about solutions. He had watched this company long enough to understand its problems. He knew the culture had become toxic. He saw departments that never communicated, teams that were bloated, and leadership that no longer led. He didn't have a degree, but he had something else. 40 years of watching people in their natural state, understanding what made them tick and seeing firsthand how the small gears made the whole machine work. What started as 1 page became 10, then 50. By the end of the month, Clarence had compiled a document, a rough blueprint of how to fix the very company that paid him minimum wage to clean its floors. Now came the hard part, what to do with it. Clarence didn't expect a miracle. He wasn't delusional. But he believed in timing. And 2 weeks later the opportunity came. He was cleaning the executive kitchen when one of the VPs, a man named Richard Falk, walked in looking unusually frazzled. He poured a coffee, muttered something under his breath and rubbed his eyes. Clarence, breaking his usual silence, gently said, "Rough day?" Falk looked at him, surprised. He nodded. "You could say that. We've got a board meeting next week, and the CEO's threatening to resign. Everything's upside down." Clarence hesitated for a second, then said, "I've been working here a long time. Seen a lot of people come and go. Mind if I give you something to read?" Falk blinked. "What?" Clarence reached into his janitor's cart, pulled out the notebook and handed it over. "Just read it. Maybe it'll help." Falk stared at it like it was radioactive. "What is this?" "Something I've been working on. My thoughts. About the company." Falk didn't respond. He just took the notebook, nodded and walked out. Clarence figured that would be the end of it. But it wasn't. Days passed without any word from Richard Falk. Clarence continued his routine, convincing himself that expecting a response was foolish. After all, who would take business advice from a janitor? But fate had other plans. One evening, as Clarence was polishing the brass fixtures in the main lobby, he felt a tap on his shoulder. Turning around, he saw Richard Falk standing there, holding the worn notebook. "Clarence, right?" Richard began. "Yes, sir," Clarence replied, straightening up. "I read your notes," Richard said, his expression unreadable. "They're insightful. Can you come to my office tomorrow at noon?" Clarence's heart raced. "Of course, sir. I'll be there." That night, sleep eluded Clarence. He lay awake, thoughts swirling. Was this the break he'd been waiting for, or was he setting himself up for disappointment? The next day, Clarence arrived at Richard's office promptly at noon. The sleek, modern decor was a stark contrast to the janitor's closet he was accustomed to. Richard gestured for him to sit. "Clarence, your observations about Dynacor are spot on," Richard began. "Your suggestions could genuinely help us. But implementing them requires more than just ideas, it requires action." Clarence nodded, absorbing every word. "I want you to join a task force," Richard continued. "We're assembling a team to address the company's challenges, and I believe your insights would be invaluable." Clarence's eyes widened in surprise. "Me? On a task force?" "Yes," Richard affirmed. "But there's one condition: you'll need to maintain your janitorial duties for now. This will be an unofficial role, at least initially." Clarence didn't hesitate. "I understand, sir. I'm willing to do whatever it takes." Over the next few months, Clarence attended meetings during his breaks and after his shifts. He listened more than he spoke, but when he did contribute, his words carried weight. His years of observing the company's inner workings gave him a unique perspective that others lacked. One evening, after a particularly intense meeting, Richard pulled Clarence aside. "You have a natural talent for this," Richard said. "Have you ever considered furthering your education?" Clarence looked down, a hint of embarrassment on his face. "I never had the opportunity, sir. Left school early to support my family." Richard nodded thoughtfully. "There's a night program at the local community college. I can help arrange for you to attend if you're interested." Tears welled up in Clarence's eyes. "I'd be honored, sir." Balancing work, task force responsibilities, and now classes was grueling. But Clarence was determined. He immersed himself in his studies, often staying up late into the night to complete assignments. His professors were impressed by his dedication and thirst for knowledge. As time went on, Clarence's role within Dynacor evolved. He transitioned from the janitorial staff to an official position within the operations department. His colleagues who once overlooked him now sought his advice. But not everyone was pleased with Clarence's ascent. Some executives viewed him as an outsider, a threat to the established order. Whispers of dissent grew louder, and Clarence found himself under scrutiny. One day he was called into a meeting with the board of directors. The atmosphere was tense. "Clarence," began one of the board members, "while we acknowledge your contributions, there are concerns about your rapid rise within the company. Some feel you're overstepping boundaries." Clarence took a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. "I understand the concerns. My intention has always been to serve Dynacor to the best of my abilities. If my actions have caused discomfort, I apologize." The board members exchanged glances. After a moment, the chairman spoke. "Your dedication is evident, Clarence. But we must ensure that all employees follow the established protocols." Clarence nodded. "Of course, sir. I only wish to see Dynacor thrive." Despite the challenges, Clarence persevered. He continued to prove his worth through hard work and innovative ideas. His resilience began to win over even his harshest critics. Years passed and Dynacor underwent significant transformations. The company's culture shifted towards inclusivity and innovation. Many attributed this change to Clarence's influence. Then the unthinkable happened. The CEO announced his retirement, and the board was tasked with selecting his successor. Names of seasoned executives were thrown into the ring, but one name stood out: Clarence Jenkins. The board was divided. Promoting a former janitor to the highest position seemed unprecedented. But Richard Falk, now a senior board member, made a compelling case. Clarence embodies the spirit of Dynacor, Richard argued. His journey is a testament to what our company stands for: recognizing potential, nurturing talent, and rewarding dedication. After much deliberation, the board reached a decision. At the age of 75, Clarence Jenkins was named the CEO of Dynacor. The news sent shockwaves through the corporate world. Media outlets clamored for interviews, eager to tell the story of the janitor who became a CEO. But Clarence remained humble, often deflecting praise to the team that supported him. In his inaugural address as CEO, Clarence stood before a packed auditorium. "I stand before you not as a man who sought power, but as someone who believes in the power of belief," he began. "Throughout my journey, I've learned that success isn't about where you start, but about the passion and perseverance you bring to the journey. Dynacor gave me a chance when I was just a janitor with a notebook. And today I pledge to give others that same opportunity." Under Clarence's leadership, Dynacor flourished. He implemented mentorship programs, emphasizing the importance of recognizing talent in unconventional places. The company's profits soared, but more importantly, its culture became a model for others to emulate. Clarence's story became legendary, a beacon of hope for those who dared to dream beyond their circumstances. And through it all, he remained the same humble man who once pushed a mop down silent hallways, proving that true success is measured not by titles, but by the impact one leaves on the hearts of others. Clarence Jenkins sat at the helm of Dynacor, a company he had once cleaned after hours. His journey from janitor to CEO was the talk of the corporate world, but for Clarence, the real work was just beginning. In his first months as CEO, Clarence made it a point to connect with employees at all levels. He reinstated the practice of walking the floors, engaging in candid conversations, and understanding the pulse of the company. This approach not only boosted morale but also provided him with unfiltered insights into the company's operations. One of Clarence's primary initiatives was to foster a culture of inclusivity and mentorship. He introduced programs that identified and nurtured talent from within, ensuring that employees had clear pathways for growth. This initiative was inspired by his own journey and the opportunities he had been given. However, not all transitions were smooth. Some senior executives were skeptical of Clarence's unconventional rise and questioned his decisions. Rumors circulated, and resistance was palpable in certain quarters. During a quarterly board meeting, a senior executive voiced his concerns. "Clarence, while your story is inspiring, some of us are concerned about the direction you're taking the company. These mentorship programs and open-door policies are unconventional. Are we not risking the company's profitability?" Clarence listened intently before responding. "I understand the concerns. However, I believe that investing in our people and fostering a culture of trust and growth will lead to long-term profitability. When employees feel valued and see opportunities for advancement, their productivity and loyalty increase. It's a strategy not just for today but for the future." The room was silent for a moment before another board member spoke up. "I've noticed a positive shift in employee morale and productivity since these initiatives began. Perhaps we should give this approach time to yield results." Over the next few years, Clarence's strategies began to show tangible results. Employee turnover decreased, innovation spiked, and Dynacor's reputation as a forward-thinking company attracted top talent. One of the most notable successes was the development of a groundbreaking product that emerged from an internal innovation challenge Clarence had initiated. This product not only boosted the company's revenue but also solidified its position as an industry leader. Despite these successes, Clarence remained grounded. He often attributed the company's achievements to the collective effort of its employees and the culture they had built together. As Clarence approached his 80th birthday, he began contemplating succession planning. He wanted to ensure that Dynacor's culture and values endured beyond his tenure. He identified a group of potential leaders within the company and initiated a mentorship program, personally guiding them and sharing his insights and experiences. Among them was a young woman named Maya, whose journey mirrored Clarence's in many ways. She had started in an entry-level position and, through dedication and hard work, had risen through the ranks. During one of their mentorship sessions, Maya expressed her concerns. "Mr. Jenkins, do you really believe someone like me can lead this company one day?" Clarence smiled. "Maya, I started here pushing a mop. Leadership isn't about where you begin. It's about vision, integrity, and the willingness to serve others. I have no doubt that you have what it takes." Under Clarence's guidance, Maya and others flourished, ensuring a pipeline of capable leaders ready to take Dynacor into the future. When Clarence finally announced his retirement, the company organized a grand farewell event. Employees from all levels gathered to honor the man who had transformed not just the company but also countless lives. In his farewell speech, Clarence reflected on his journey. "Looking back, I realized that every challenge, every setback was a stepping stone to this moment. Our greatest asset has always been our people. Invest in them, believe in them, and they will take the company to heights you've never imagined." As Clarence stepped down, Maya was named his successor, marking another chapter in Dynacor's legacy of recognizing and nurturing talent from within. Clarence spent his retirement years mentoring young entrepreneurs, sharing his story, and emphasizing the importance of resilience, humility, and servant leadership. His journey from janitor to CEO became a case study in business schools, a testament to the power of perseverance, vision, and the belief that everyone, regardless of their starting point, has the potential to achieve greatness. After stepping down as CEO of Dynacor, Clarence Jenkins found himself with an abundance of time, a stark contrast to the decades spent immersed in corporate responsibilities. Yet, retirement did not signify an end to his ambitions. Rather, it marked the beginning of a new chapter dedicated to giving back to the community that had shaped him. Clarence returned to his hometown, a place where his journey had begun amidst modest means and humble beginnings. The neighborhood had changed over the years, but the challenges faced by its residents remained. Determined to make a difference, Clarence established the Jenkins Foundation, aimed at providing mentorship and educational opportunities to underprivileged youth. The foundation's flagship program focused on vocational training, emphasizing that success wasn't solely defined by academic achievements but also by mastering practical skills. Clarence believed that every individual possessed unique talents waiting to be discovered and nurtured. One of the first enrollees was a young man named Jamal, who had recently dropped out of high school. Raised by a single mother and surrounded by negative influences, Jamal's prospects seemed bleak. However, upon hearing about the Jenkins Foundation, he decided to give it a chance. During their first meeting, Clarence listened intently to Jamal's story. "Mr. Jenkins, I ain't good at school stuff. I don't think I'm cut out for success," Jamal admitted, avoiding eye contact. Clarence leaned forward, his eyes compassionate. "Success isn't about where you start or even the obstacles you face," he said. "It's about recognizing your potential and being willing to work towards it. Let's find what you're passionate about." Through the Foundation's programs, Jamal discovered an affinity for carpentry. With access to workshops, tools, and seasoned mentors, he honed his craft. Over time, Jamal transformed from a directionless youth into a skilled carpenter, eventually starting his own furniture business. He became a testament to the Foundation's mission and often returned to mentor new participants. Clarence's influence extended beyond the Foundation. He was frequently invited to speak at conferences, universities, and corporate events. His speeches were not just chronicles of his ascent from janitor to CEO but were imbued with lessons on leadership, resilience, and the importance of ethical decision-making. During a keynote address at a renowned business school, a student posed a question. "Mr. Jenkins, in today's fast-paced world, how does one maintain integrity while striving for success?" Clarence paused, reflecting on the query. "Integrity is the bedrock of genuine success," he began. "In the whirlwind of ambition and competition, it's easy to compromise on values for short-term gains. But remember, success achieved at the expense of integrity is fleeting. Stay true to your principles and success will follow in its truest form." Beyond public speaking, Clarence took to writing, authoring a memoir titled From the Ground Up, A Journey of Resilience and Leadership. The book delved deeper into his experiences, offering readers a candid look at the challenges he faced and the lessons he learned. It became a bestseller, resonating with individuals from all walks of life. Despite his achievements and the adulation he received, Clarence remained grounded. He often attributed his success to the collective efforts of those who believed in him, from Richard Falk's mentorship to the unwavering support of his family. He made it a point to spend quality time with his loved ones, cherishing moments that his earlier career demands had often curtailed. As years passed, the Jenkins Foundation expanded its reach, establishing partnerships with educational institutions and corporations. Scholarships were instituted and internship opportunities were created, bridging the gap between education and employment for countless youths. One evening, as Clarence walked through the Foundation's community center, he observed a group of young individuals engrossed in a workshop. Their enthusiasm and determination mirrored the passion he had once felt. It was in that moment he realized that his legacy was not just in the titles he had held or the accolades he had received but in the lives he had touched and the opportunities he had helped create. Clarence Jenkins passed away peacefully at the age of 90, leaving behind a legacy that transcended corporate achievements. His life story became a beacon of hope, illustrating that with perseverance, integrity, and a commitment to uplifting others, one could overcome any adversity. In the annals of history, Clarence was remembered not just as the janitor who became a CEO but as a visionary who transformed challenges into opportunities and inspired generations to believe in the boundless potential within themselves.